One of my guiltiest pleasures is the 1982 adventure movie Conan the Barbarian. Conan the Barbarian is a sword and sorcery epic about a warrior who seeks revenge on the evil sorcerer who destroyed his village. But something has really bugged me every time I watch the film. Why does everyone have bangs? Seriously, almost every single character has bangs. Conan, Conan's dad, Conan's mom, Conan's sidekick, Valerian, the witch, James Earl Jones, this guy, that guy. One of the only characters without bangs is the wizard because he's bald. Why? Now, this is an 80s movie, so we've got to consider 1982 hair trends to answer this question. I'm going to hand it to the ladies. Their bangs do look on trend, but the men do not look hip. When was the last time you saw a guy with bangs like this? Did barbarians actually have bangs, or are bangs an artistic choice in the Conan the Barbarian universe? To understand why everyone in this movie has bangs, I investigated Conan the Barbarian lore, barbarian hair trends, and art from the Bronze Age. Let's get started. Conan the Barbarian is a fictional character created by Robert E. Howard in the 1930s. These stories appeared in pulp magazines like Weird Tales and The Fantagraph. Marvel Comics issued the first Conan the Barbarian comic in 1970. The comic's success led to the option for a film, which got kicked around in production for over 10 years before Oliver Stone and John Milius finally brought it to the screen. There's a great video about the film's production linked in the Bibliography. In most depictions prior to the movie, Conan has black, shoulder-length hair with long bangs. So, bangs have always been part of the Conan canon. According to Robert E. Howard, Conan the Barbarian is set during the Hyborian Age. The Hyborian Age occurred after the fall of the legendary civilizations like Atlantis and Lemuria, but before the rise of ancient civilizations like Greece and Egypt. This is a fictional timeline, but one that uses historical geography. In her essay, Hyborian Genesis, an introduction to a 2002 volume of Conan novels, Patrice Louinet writes, Howard had an intense love for history. At the same time, he recognized the difficulties and the time-consuming research involved in maintaining historical accuracy. By consuming a universe that was not ours, but that may have once been ours, by carefully choosing names that resembled our past history, Howard skirted the problem of anachronisms and the need for lengthy explanatory chapters. In other words, placing the story a long time ago buys the Conan universe some suspension of disbelief. Conan the Barbarian belongs to a genre called sword and sorcery. Sword and sorcery usually features violent hand-to-hand combat, mysterious magic, hot babes, and loose adaptations of ancient history and mythology. It's violent, it's pulpy, and it was a perfect match for the special effects renaissance going on in Hollywood during the late 1970s and early 1980s. So we know Conan the Barbarian takes place in a world that's part fantasy and part history. But just for kicks, let's explore this fictional time period known as the Hyborian Age. In his essay, The Hyborian Age, published in the Fantagraph in 1936, Robert E. Howard defines the Hyborian Age as being after the fall of Atlantis, but before recorded history. Future Conan editors would define the Hyborian Age as taking place between 32,000 and 10,000 BC. That would technically place it in the Stone Age before the widespread use of metal tools. However, everyone in Conan the Barbarian is obsessed with steel.
The enigma of steel.
Of steel.
Weapons of steel. The secret of steel.
And I searched for steel. Steel.
Steel is an alloy made of iron and carbon. The first steel swords started popping up in Eurasia around 1800 BC. The characters in Conan are also pretty stoked on the wheel, which was invented around 4000 BC. I'm using steel and the wheel to place Conan the Barbarian's timeline in the Bronze Age. So, are the barbarian hairstyles in the film historically accurate for the Bronze Age? Here's what we know about barbarian hair. The word barbarian comes from the Greek word barbaros. It was a derogatory term used in ancient Greece to describe all nomadic or non-Greek speaking people. Conan the Barbarian takes place long before ancient Greece. The height of civilization in Conan the Barbarian is this market where Arnold Schwarzenegger punches a camel in the face. But after Conan is released from slavery, he is a nomad and technically a barbarian. Barbarians would have had long, unkempt hair, probably out of necessity. Long hair keeps the sun off of your ears and neck, and it also keeps your head warm in the winter. But your hair can't be too long or it would get in your eyes and obstruct your vision. Hence why you might want to cut it above your eyebrows, a la bangs. There isn't a ton of surviving art from the Bronze Age that specifically depicts barbarian hairstyles. Most of the artifacts we have from nomadic civilizations are tools, cave drawings, and totems. But most of the art we have from the Bronze Age depicts rulers, gods, or other ancient celebrities. There is a lot of surviving Bronze Age art depicting bangs. So were bangs actually trendy during the Bronze Age? Let's take a look at some pieces from that time period. This sculpture, made from ivory and lapis lazuli, is from 1200 or 1300 BC. Some of the face has been lost to time, but there is one defining characteristic, and that is her bangs. This woman has short bangs that are one length all across her forehead. She also has shoulder-length hair that covers her ears. Her hairstyle is reminiscent of another civilization's trademark hair, the hair of the ancient Egyptians. The Papyrus of Ani dates back to 1250 BC, and as you can see, almost every depicted human character in this story has bangs. We now know the ancient Egyptians wore wigs, and these wigs had bangs. The Egyptian hairstyle is one of the most iconic hairstyles in history, and clearly inspired the wig of James Earl Jones's character Thulsa Doom. There's a lot going on in this bronze head of a king from Nineveh. He's got a braided head wrap, curly hair, a ropey beard, and a headband. The locks above the eyes strongly suggest bangs. We see the bangs worn under the headband here, probably to protect the skin of the forehead from whatever metal or harsh surface that the headband was made out of. Based on these artifacts, we can conclude that bangs were around during the Bronze Age and worn by some of the most powerful rulers of the time. So did the creators of Conan the Barbarian give everyone bangs because it's historically accurate? Or was there another reason? In a 2019 interview, the storyboard artist William Stout shed some light on Conan's aesthetic. He said, "The Europeans in our art department didn't get it. Is it a gladiator movie? A little bit. Is it like a Viking movie? A little bit. Is it like a samurai movie? A little bit. There wasn't really anything I could point to explain this new genre. Concept artist Frank Franzetta's work looked great, but most of what he painted wasn't functional and worked only for the moment that Frank was depicting. It looked cool on a book cover, but ridiculous when we tried to build some of that stuff for real. Remember, everything we designed also had to be, or at least look, functional. It really helped having Ron's and John Milius's historical perspective to ground us in a kind of fantastic reality." So it sounds like the production of Conan the Barbarian had historical functionality in mind. This explains why they chose to go with more grounded designs instead of designs influenced by illustrations from comic books. Bangs are quite functional. They had no sunscreen in ancient times, and they were toiling in the sun all day long. Bangs provide your eyes some shade, too, which would be useful for barbarians because sunglasses weren't invented yet. Bangs also function as a cushion between your skin and any metal helmets or headdresses you might be wearing. Bangs are an insanely utilitarian hairstyle for any nomad, adventurer, or king. I think we now know why everyone in Conan the Barbarian has bangs. The filmmakers wanted the film to have a sense of historic functionality. Bangs protect your head from the sun, headdresses, and the cold. There's also evidence that people in the Bronze Age, when Conan the Barbarian most likely would have taken place, were it based in reality, actually had bangs, making the hair in Conan the Barbarian mostly historically accurate, even though most of these are wigs. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you enjoyed the video, share it with someone who you think might find it interesting. It's been really cool and awesome to watch the channel grow. And don't forget to vote for your favorite barbarian bangs in the community tab. Till next time, cheers.